200 years' time, none of us are going to be here in this world. Do you agree with me? Even if you don't agree with me, that is the reality. So, given the fact, imagine the 7.7 billion people leave this world for good. We will not come back. And if we don't take a precautionary measures about what is happening today, what should happen in the coming few hundred years, all of us or our great-great-great-grandchildren are going to stay in the graveyards. They will make their houses within the graveyards. That is going to be the reality. Now, that is the population size. Now, what is the area size that we have? We got plus minus about 500 million square kilometers. That is the Earth size. And out of that, we all know, I'm not teaching geography here, we all know 76% is covered by water. Only 24% is land. And Pacific Ocean is so big, which covers probably about more than 180 million square kilometers. Yeah. And the list goes on. Africa is a continent, it's the second biggest continent in the world, which has got about 31 million square kilometers land. Now, given this situation, the population size has been steadily increasing from time to time. If you look at the population probably 50,000 years back, we had hardly 30,000 people in the whole world. And if you take the history 10,000 years ago, not too long, just 10,000 years ago, we were only 2 million people. And if you look at the population 2,000 years ago, when we talk about Jesus Christ and so on, during that time, our population was about 250 millions only. Now, 250 millions you can find in Indonesia. American population is more than 330 millions. So, now we have only 250 million people 2,000 years ago. The first billion of our world population is only reached in 1804. That is our first billion population. And the second billion was added in 1927. And the third billion was added in 1960. So now we have 7.7 billion people. So this is about the population statistics. And the land size is too small. In economics, we always say that the price of land is always inelastic. If we talk about demand elasticity, the price of land is always inelastic because size of the land cannot be increased. Only the population size for the past 10,000 years until today, we have seen tremendous changes. Now, how are we going to manage? We look at the graveyards. This is what I was talking about. We've been listening to wonderful speakers in the morning. We understand that the land size is fixed. We need to look for alternative avenues, alternative mechanisms. Otherwise, as I indicated, that our future generations, they don't have any space to live other than going back and staying in the graveyards. So, now, I just would like to give you a picture what is happening in the rest of the world regarding this issue. We have different religions in this world. The Christian religion, particularly the Catholics, they are the biggest in the world, with about 33% of the population in the globe. The second biggest religion is none other than Muslim religion, with about 22% of the population. Third is Hindus, that is about 14%. And we got Buddhists, they are about 7%. And we got all other religions, Jewish people, Confucianism, Baha'i, whatever you name it, they are about 12%. Still, we do have 12% people they don't believe in any religion. So that's the, by and large, that's the, our population looks alike. Now, on the name of religion, on the name of culture, we have different faiths, different belief systems. That will bring us some additional challenges, additional problems as well. Now, religion is something you cannot argue with because it's a purely a belief system. So, because of that, if you look at the world statistics, I don't know how many of you were able to see that slide. Japan is a country, it used to be the second largest economy in the world, it now moved to fourth position. And they have the highest lifespan in the world, probably more than 93 years on an average. Japanese, they have different belief system. Doesn't mean that they are all Christians, doesn't mean that they are Hindus or Muslims. They have different belief systems. Some of them are maybe Buddhists, but they all go with crematoria. 99.9% of the crematorium has been practiced in Japan. Now we have various other countries within Asian continent, within Europe, they are also trying their best to practice the crematorium. Why crematorium? Why not burial? So, we'll talk about Hindus and we'll talk about Indian system in a few minutes' time. I just would like to give you a comprehensive picture of what the rest of the world is doing with regard to this issue. Susan also presented, and all our speakers, Veronica also presented. We're all thinking that what is going to happen in the coming 500 years' time? If the population of Durban city, if you take 50 years ago, it may not be the same what we are seeing today. In the coming 500 years, definitely, it's not going to be the same. So, the world has realized the impact of this burial cemeteries, and then they are trying to move forward into the cremations. As it is indicated that Japan has got 99.9%, Taiwan 90.8%, Switzerland also got 84%. And if you go to Europe, most of the countries, either they have Christian faith or they have Islam. But they move to the direction because that is the reality that we need to look at. I'm not going to the details of that slide. Italy, most of them are Catholics, and that is where the percentage of cremations is only 14%. If you take 1960, in countries like America, the cremation rate was only 3%, about 60 years ago. And today, they moved to, by and large, 50%. So we need to look into that. This is what I was, this is the religion of India. So now let me leave you here and let us try to look at whether you take Netherlands, take Finland, Scandinavian countries, you take UK, all those countries, they are trying to practice, irrespective of the religion whatsoever it is, is the cremation, then the burials, and sending the bodies to the cemeteries. So, now we have seen, you go to Canada, you go to New Zealand, you go to Australia, you go to any other developed country in the world, Austria. So people are changing their thinking from burial to the cemetery, the cremation. So now, let me come back to, because of interest of time, I don't know, Susan, how much time do I still have? Really? I will have a basic. Alright, now let me take you to Indian scenario. In India is the second largely populated country in the world, with about 1.3 billion people. So Indians are probably 21 times bigger than the population of South Africa. We got about 57 million people here, but there is more than 1.3 billion people.
Yeah.
So most of them, more than 80% of them are Hindus, and about 14% are the Muslims and the other religions. We got more than 65, 68 million Christians in India. So that is more than the population of South Africa, obviously. Now what is happening there? Hindus believe that it is the cremation. That is the only practice, nothing else. So Hindu religion is the oldest religion in the world. They've been practicing this for thousands and thousands of years. They might have anticipated this challenge of today, probably thousands of years ago. They've been practicing this. Now, there are challenges that we face within the Hindu faith. I'll take you to some pictures, what is happening. For example, this is how the cremation takes place in India.
Oh!
This is he was the former Prime Minister of India, Atal Bihari Vajpayee. He died last year. That is the picture. You can see how much timber is being burned there. Now, that is the religious belief system.
Yeah.
On an average, according to the estimates made by different researchers of India and other parts of the world, on an average, Hindus spend about 500 kilos to 600 kilos of timber or the wood to burn the body. That is also creating lots of additional challenges for our climate and the environment. So we talk about the chlorofluorocarbons, we talk about green gases and stuff like that. We are also creating this problem here. Not only that, if on an average 7 million people they die in India, can you imagine that?
Mm-hmm.
7 million people they die in India. You can multiply 500 times 7 millions. How many millions of trees we are going to cut down?
Yeah.
More than 16 million trees we are going to cut down to bury all those people. Now, we have so many modern technologies that came into effect. We got electrification, we got LPG, we got solar systems that can burn the bodies. Now, Indians, if we wanted to use these modern methods of cremation, they have to close the body into kind of box. They put it inside. I'll show you some of the pictures here. This is how it is. And then we burn it. It takes about 30 minutes to 90 minutes time to do this. Now, this is another body of one of the provincial, like we say premier here, but in India we say chief minister. She died also probably a couple of years ago. That's her body has been. She's a Hindu, but she wants to have the burial, so they bury it. So this is how it has been practiced in India. These are the traditional methods. Why the Indians they use these traditional methods? What is the story behind that? We believe that in reincarnation. We think that once we die, our soul is here. And when they're burning our body, they will openly burn like this, as you can see in that picture. And then when your head is burst, they will use even the bamboo stick to make sure that it is properly burst, so that your soul will directly go out of your body when the cremation is taking place. And then you will have the reincarnation, then you will have a rebirth, then you will go to heaven. That is the Hindu belief system. That is why until today, most of those people are educated, well-educated people, but still they stick to the traditional methods of cremation. And that is creating a real challenge for India and to the world. Now, India, on the other hand, I would like to mention one more story that every country, according to the ecologists, we must have about 33%, one-third of our land must be covered by the forests. No country in the world except Russia has got that. Indian forest is probably less than 12-13%. If we begin to practice this in the coming few decades' time, we don't have any trees. In the urbanization, wherever you go, you hardly see the plants. You only see the buildings. That would also create additional problems and challenges for us, for our environment. So, we suggest that I've seen just during the lunchtime next to this, there are 3 coffins. I was talking to Elaine there. She was explaining to me that they are biodiverse coffins. Within 50 years' time, they can be biodiverse. So you can see this is the dead body. As you can see the dead body there. It is a bit scary, but that's
Scary.
how we do that. So how much wood is being used, one can understand by these pictures. Ganges River is one of the holy rivers, or is the only holy river in India, Hindus believe in. If you go to the Ganges, starting from its origin and until it reaches Allahabad or wherever, you will see lots of coffins, lots of these things will happen there. They throw the dead bodies there into the river.
Oh.
So they think that if they throw into that holy river, then they will go to the heaven. That is the belief system. So that is also creating lots of environmental issues within the Ganges River, and Prime Minister Modi recently informed that they wanted to clean that Ganges. And they want to make sure that no incidents of this should take place in that particular river. So this is a different kind of mechanisms that they've been using, and this is the energy efficient systems that they are practicing. I was also talking to our brothers here, Gopi, and also another friend that I met. They are also doing this kind of things in Durban. So these are the new methods where they are energy efficient systems. They can take probably between 10 minutes to half an hour time to cremate, and it's energy efficient. And countries like Singapore, they will also tap onto the opportunities like this. They still wanted to generate energy through this process, so that that energy can be utilized for a better rate. Now, I was also reading an important article sometime back. What they were trying to do is that there is a pot that they created. I think the project is started somewhere in 2003, and the body after the death is been fixed into that particular pot. They put a plant on that. So while we die, we can also try to give a life to a plant. So that is the kind of way that we need to think, and we need to be, after our death, we need to be utilized to our society one way or another. So these are our various pictures. As you can see, this is what I was talking about. Here it is completely closed. So Hindu system says that your body must be open so that you will connect with the supreme power, with your soul. So that is why most of the people, they don't agree with this. I think in the South African case, we got about 32 public cemeteries, and on average over 14,000 burials take place. You can imagine in the coming 10 to 20 years time, what would be our scenario if we practice this. So this is one of the cemeteries in South Africa, and this also in Cape Town. And Susan is explained about Maitland Cemetery, which is more than 113 hectares of land. It's a massive. And I used to travel when I was living in Cape Town, and I used to see, I take almost more than 3 to 5 minutes to drive that particular area with the cemetery all over. So these are some of this is the Stella Wood Cemetery in Durban, and this is also a private cemetery, as she indicated, in Durbanville. I think these are a few of the ideas that I would like to share with you. I thank you for the opportunity, and if you got any questions or clarifications, you are welcome to approach. Thank you.